that is the fan art section. So this piece of fan art comes from Living Thrash Can. They said they wanted to draw Suris in a bunny suit while testing some pens. Hope that y'all like it. Thank you very much, Living Thrash Can, for all of you who support the channel by throwing your fan art into the fan art section. Thank you very, very much. Y'all are amazing. If you want your fan art to be featured on a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. That said, today, apparently, Sargon has said that the left has declared defeat in the culture war. Now, I don't know what the fuck that means. I still am not 100% certain what the fuck the culture war is or ever has been, but I think it's important for us to go ahead and see what the hell they're talking about. So, let's go ahead and see what's going on there.
Good news, guys. The left have basically just declared defeat in the culture war.
Okay. Hillary Clinton admits mass immigration has destabilized society. Is that the culture war? Is that the culture? Like, let me know in the comment section below what you think the culture war is. Because, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like it's such an incongruous, fluid concept that the right can use, like, the right content creator right can use to, like, say that they are winning or losing at any given stage. Any given stage. They can always move the goalpost on what the culture war is. But somebody says, Sargon's a joke if you ask me these days. I even unsubbed because he was fun with the feminazi stuff. That was about the only thing he was good for. I'm going to be honest, there's a part of me that wants to kind of cover some of that. Just because, like, I feel like there's a group of people, especially with the conversation about, like, the loneliness epidemic. I think there's a type of person who really just needs somebody to tell them to go eat healthier and go to the gym. And, like, I understand, I look the way I do, so obviously I don't follow that advice as well as I should personally, but I feel like there is a type of person who they need somebody to tell them to be healthier. They need content creators to tell them to go and be healthy. But the content creators who usually do, like, health content, gym content, stuff like that, a lot of times it's people on the right. Like, a lot of your self-betterment people tend to be more conservatively oriented, and I think that's a bit of a mistake, honestly. Like, I think there needs to be more leftist fitness influencers, and I don't have the passion for fitness influencing or, like, macroing carbs and shit to do that, but maybe there's a reason to have some more conversations in that field, personally. Said, oh, I can plug one for people. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. That said,
total chud victory on every front, on every subject, on every aspect of what we were all fighting over that would be considered good or bad. Well, the right has been correct about all of that, and the left is basically just coming out and saying, yeah, okay, we were full of shit. I'm not even joking. This is Hillary Clinton talking about mass immigration.
I think we need to call it for what it is.
Secretary
There is
Clinton.
a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration.
So I have a question real quick. Looking at this is a 19-second clip that has been clipped by America First Post. Can we say something real quick? Is the just a couple things here. One, does the 20-second clip here tell you everything you need to know about the position? And secondly, is it just me, or does the broad left not give a flying shit what Hillary Clinton says? I feel like when you start talking about, like, not just your liberals, but, like, your socialists, your ANCOMs, your people who are, like, anarcho-syndicalists, like, once you start talking about the broader left in general, they don't give a flying fuck about the Clintons at all. Azura says, and we all know Hillary is a leftist and not a liberal neocon who is borderline conservative. 20 seconds is about the average attention span of a smart goldfish. Fair. Anyway, it's been an hour. You might not know because you're watching this on YouTube, but if you were watching this over on Twitch, there was a whole hour where Saki came in and we had to do a whole bunch of shit with the computer. We still couldn't get it to work. So, twitch.tv/Necosuris. Maybe K-Fox will put it over there. One of the things. See here, Vinny says, yeah, no, consensus of the internet is that those MSI boards just have lemon issues. Great. Great. Fantastic. Okay, well, that's something that we know now. I didn't know that when we picked it up. I'm used to MSI just being a reliable brand in general. But apparently in this specific instance, it wasn't. Yay. That means we gotta start talking about Sargon now. Sorry, guys.
Went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people.
I'll take it. Complete and total chud victory on the immigration front. We've even got the children.
Is that a total victory? She specifically pointed out that the problem, so like, the Democrats as an apparatus have always been okay with deporting people. They did it under Biden, they did it under Obama. The argument for the Democratic Party in general is that deporting is okay. It's how you go about doing it that's the issue. For me, I don't think it should matter that fucking much. Human beings in one area or another, on one bit of soil or another, I don't see how it fucking matters. It doesn't change anything about reality. But to the Democratic Party at large, they like that's not a change from anything they've been doing for the past ever.
Of immigrants being like, no, I'm going to be hardline anti-immigration in Britain. Here's Shabana Mahmood, the Muslim Home Secretary that we have, for whatever reason, being like, yeah, okay, we've had...
Wait, did you just say that we've had for whatever reason? Hold on.
Even got the children of immigrants being like, no, I'm going to be hardline anti-immigration in Britain. Here's Shabana Mahmood, the Muslim Home Secretary that we have, for whatever reason.
What's the okay, so what's the functional difference between... Hi, hon. Okay. Like, what's the functional difference, personally, what's the difference between a secretary who happens to be Muslim and a secretary who happens to be Christian? Like, that, Sargon is the type of person who is a very, very hardline, not hardline, but he's a atheist content creator. So from his perspective, there should be no difference between that being a Christian or that being a Muslim. As far as I'm concerned, as an atheist, somebody has their faith. I don't give a flying fuck so long as that faith isn't used as a cudgel against me or people I care about. So I don't know why this particularly matters here.
Being like, yeah, okay, we've had enough immigration, we're going to do something about it. And unlike the Conservatives, they actually have done something about it.
Oh, hold on.
Like, I don't like Labour, obviously, but there is no denying that they got the net migration into the country down. Now, they got it down from about 1.5 million gross to 850,000 gross, and then we have about 550,000 leave, something like that. The numbers are all provisional estimates, so these will, and they're always revised upwards. But it is very likely that the gross number of people coming to the country came down. So even in Britain, we're like, yeah, okay, that's got to stop. And there's a reason for it. I mean, like, people are just sick of it. 68% of people is way too high. Way too high. Not happy about it. I mean, look at this. People apply.
So, like, one thing that I always want to ask people who are, like, super, super anti-immigration is, in exactly which material way has it affected you? And you know what? I'm willing to hear this perspective in the comment section. Let me know, in what material way has immigration affected you? You personally. Like, I don't want it to be like, oh, well, actually, did you know that culture destabilizes a little bit? No. I don't want to hear that fucking shit. That's all propaganda. Nobody gives a fuck about propaganda. What I want to hear is the personal, real story of how immigration negatively affected you. That's what I want. I want to figure out if that's a thing that is really happening to a degree that matters. Because I am convinced that while there are problems with immigration, it's not that big of a fucking problem.
Coming to the UK to apply for refugee status or asylum seekers, 43%, like, much too high. 25%, a little bit too high. And 18% of things about right, which is really weird. But the point is, it was a topic on which
it's really weird that a few people are just like, yeah, the status quo is the status quo. How's that weird?
Left were never really going to win. Right? Everyone hates mass immigration. No one's in favour of it. Not even the
Everybody hates mass immigration. Nobody's in favor of it. My guy, have you met the open borders libertarians? Have you met them? The open borders libertarians generally don't give a shit. They're just like, yeah, no, bring them all in. What the fuck are you talking about, Sargon?
Are in favor of it. It's just the individuals who think they're benefiting financially from it who are okay with it, and leftists who are destructive parasites who hate our culture and are trying to destroy us are in favor.
Is that the case though? Like, what's the? Okay, can you give me an example of a leftist who specifically hates British culture and has made the argument that they have made the argument specifically that they should destroy British culture by bringing in more brown people? Where are you seeing that? Where are you seeing that from, like, a perspective that can make it to where you have, like, a monolithic leftist perspective? Where the fuck is that happening?
Favor of it. So, I mean, like 3% think, oh, it's a bit too low. Like, what? Just active fifth columnists. But anyway, let's go on to culture, right? Look at that headline. Go Woke, Go Broke. New study challenges claims progressive films flop at the box office. It challenges them, and then, hidden by the headline, burying the lead.
Wait, are we... Hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this Sargon of Akkad just hopping around reading the titles of different news articles and doing nothing more? Is that all he's doing?
Then admits, this is a bit of a problem, right? So we'll skip down.
Where's that happening?
They conclude that big budget blockbusters face considerable risks if they indulge in heavy-handed politics. Wow, when have their politics not been heavy-handed? Incurring a backlash if audiences feel political messages override story or character. Moreover, weakening well-established characters and narratives, as if they don't do that all the time, such as James Bond, carries what they describe as a massive financial risk. Rewriting legacy canon or characters is one of the strongest negative signals for commercial performance. Right, so if you go woke, you go broke.
That's not what that means, though. Like, okay, so this is what happens when you have a conspiracy theorist who sees something that, like, vaguely resembles their conspiracy, and then they just jump on that, and that is the thing that they are hanging their hat on, right? That is exactly the thing they are hanging their hat on, even though the thing you're talking about only vaguely resembles that. So, did you know that a movie that criticizes capitalism subtly and a movie that criticizes capitalism heavy-handedly are equally woke movies? And based on the study that you are looking at, or the op-ed piece that might have looked at the idea of a study to have its op-ed piece, that's something that's even noted in here specifically. The problem is not whether or not the woke messaging is there. If you read the article you're fucking looking at, the problem is not that it's there or not. The problem is execution, and that's the way it is with every story ever. But I thought this was supposed to be the left showing that we had, like, declared that we lost the culture war. Again, let me know in the comment section what the fuck the culture war is, because I hear that term a lot, and I feel like it means enough different things to different people that it's a thing that anybody can say they're fighting for because they can make it mean whatever the fuck they want. That's my thought, generally speaking. Sargon, it seems to me that the thesis of the video is the left is losing. Not the left has declared its loss, but that is the title of your video. Soccer says, I'm reminded of how people whinging about how Star Trek being woke harkens back to the 1990s Star Trek or 1960s Star Trek. Yeah, no, so every current generation is going to say that the next generation of media, movies, something, is going too far in a simple direction, changing the things that they like. Here's the thing. Did you know that one of the main reasons that Hollywood reuses franchises so often is simply because they're safe? And because of that, when you are a creator in the Hollywood space, one of the ways that you can get your ideas into film is by latching them onto a previously existing idea. A great example of this is Starship Troopers, right? So Starship Troopers famously was a movie made as a parody of the original because the maker of the movie read the book, the very pro-fascist book, and said that they fucking hated it. They couldn't stand it. So they made a critique of it instead through their movie. Now, it turns out that the love story in an alien planet filled with bugs was actually the movie they were trying to make in the first fucking place. But the skin of Starship Troopers being grafted onto there was a thing that happened simply because Hollywood demanded it be based on a previously existing property that people would know. Like, the reason that you have this happen, and I think this is what I'm going to end the video on. The reason you have that happen is because Hollywood desperately wants things to be safe. They want things to be safe because that is what guarantees financial return. It's a lower risk investment. But now that we're talking about financial returns, ROIs, all kinds of shit like that, do you know what we're talking about? We are talking about capital gains on movies. And now that we're talking about that, Sargon, is it maybe perhaps that the problem with movies in general is that financial perspective that is clouding the creative perspective? The idea that the movie has to be within a certain set of parameters to make a certain amount of money? If you don't want your favorite franchises remade, repackaged, repolished, and resold in a way that does not resemble the original, if you don't want that, then you actively don't want Hollywood as it currently exists, with the massive financial incentives that it has. What you want is a version of a workforce there that can be operated more democratically instead of more top-down and funded by capital. Whatever system you would use that would see people creating things that wouldn't involve capital specifically, you can fill in the blanks on what financial system you think would fix that problem. Go right ahead. Let me know in the comment section below which one you think it is. Personally, I have my thoughts, but, you know, who cares what those are? Sargon wants to tell us that the left is losing the culture war, but we might need to start defining what the fuck the culture war is first. Vinny says culture war is a stagnant, dull people upset with the concept that things could ever be different from what they personally like. That sounds to be fairly accurate, but who knows? That said, I am very bored with this video already, and Sargon's it's not even a long video. It's a 10-minute video, but he's bounced between a bunch of different topics already. I don't know. Is there anything else in here that is of worth?
So I'm sorry, Guardian, you can try and hide it in the headline as much as you like, but in the actual body of the text, that's what you're saying. After analysing more than 10,000 films, they've concluded that there's no consistent pattern as to whether a progressive theme has harmed the box office. The problems are linked to execution.
Yes, Sargon, that's what yeah. You can have gay characters in a movie and nobody's going to give a shit if it's executed in a way that doesn't seem super heavy-handed. Yeah. And?
Right, okay. Heavy-handed political messaging, clumsy canon changes, or anachronistic dialogue reduce audience satisfaction and profitability. Right, so go woke, go broke. That's what...
No, we're done. We are done, because that's not what that means. That's not what that says. That's not what the text says. Because what's being said there is very, very clear. It is the execution. It is in how it is handled. It is not in whether or not those themes are there. It's in the fucking article you read yourself. It's not in whether or not the themes are there, my guy. It's if those themes are handled well. If the writer who is handling those themes did a good job with that. Like, okay, can you imagine for a minute if in Steven Universe the rocks, just the gems, had flat out told you that when they fuse, it is sex. When they fuse, it is an equivalent to sex. Now, we all know that that's like the underpinned message kind of there. It is a form of intimate bonding, not unlike when humans share pheromones sexually. It's not unlike that, but it's not quite like that either, and that's what makes that conversation interesting. It's why characters like Garnet can be a representation of a lesbian relationship, but characters like the one that's on the Gem homeworld that is basically a polyamorous relationship with a bunch of characters together, without that character sitting there telling you, by the way, my character type represents polyamory, a type of archetype of relationship where there are multiple people who are together, and there are certain tiers of relationship that they may all have with each other in this spider. Like, no. It doesn't have to fucking be heavy-handed with that conversation because it is written smartly by comparison to something you might find on a bad fan fiction website. Rainby says I should watch that sometime. It's a good show. It's a good show. Ultimately, even in what he is reading, it points out that it is not whether or not those themes are there that cause something to be a success or not. It is how heavy-handed they are. And I'm going to be honest, every single time that I see somebody do this go woke, go broke, it's because they think there's some DEI character in there. It's because they think that gayness has been inserted in where it ought not be, as opposed to trying to analyze whether that gayness or that DEI character actually contributed something to the story that mattered. Sakura says, anachronistic dialogue. I hate how fast this scrolls sometimes. Anachronistic dialogue, so I assume that any movie set in, I don't know, the 1st century CE in the Middle East needs to have all the characters speaking Aramaic rather than English, as opposed to, being marketed to people who will be watching it generally. Vinny says, go fash, no cash. Yep. Sappho, the celibate succubus, that is a descriptive name, says, hello and boop. How are you doing? Deckertrass says, for some, the first season can be a little too goofy, but it starts getting really good at the end of the first season. Okay, so I'll end on this for a recommendation for Steven Universe is concerned. Watch a synopsis of episodes 1 through 50, and then begin when the show becomes a space opera. And that's about episode 51. I hate that I have to recommend that show that way, but that show is 2 different fucking shows. That show is like a very poorly handled Gravity Falls Villain of the Week style show in the first 50 episodes, and then when it properly realizes it should be a space opera with some horror sub-themes, suddenly that show just becomes a fucking masterpiece for a good chunk. Vinny says Steven himself is polarizing because he's an incessantly annoying little kid. Again, he starts to have his arc of getting better instead of being a stagnant POV character about episode 50 for that show. But there we go. Recommendation for a show to watch and how to watch it in a way that will not make you want to claw your eyes out. That all said, I can't with the Sargon video. He's literally read a thing and not... He doesn't know how to read. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.